Did you know that 90% of business owners do not have a written marketing plan? As women of faith in business, scripture instructs us to write the vision and make it plain. So I'm giving you an invitation to write your marketing plan and make it plain by discovering two powerful ways to successfully plan your marketing so you can attract your ideal clients and prosper in your God given purpose. Go to nadinemullings.com/power. That's nadinemullings.com/power to get started on your marketing plan so you can start attracting your ideal clients in the marketplace. Welcome to the Women Faith Plus Business Podcast. I'm your host, Nadine Mullings. I'm an author, speaker, and podcast host, and I believe in the importance of women of faith stepping up, shining in their lane, and sharing their God-given message so they can have the impact, income, and influence they were born to make. Join me this season to discover how women of faith in business are using podcasts as their platform to share their mission-driven message. And be sure to join the Women Faith Plus Business community by going to nadinemullings.com/community. That's nadinemullings.com/community. See you in the powerful community of women of faith in business, and enjoy this episode of the Women Faith Plus Business Podcast. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Women Faith Plus Business Podcast. I'm excited to have my next guest with me because it's somebody that's new to me. This is actually the first time we're connecting. We met through online. I always love these online connections and how God can put people in your path from across the other side of the world. So Helen, our guest today, Helen Verroux, is actually in Qatar. And this is the first time on the Women Faith Plus Business Podcast that I've had someone from Qatar. So I'm excited to have a conversation with her. But not only that, she's an amazing woman of faith who has been given a God-given message of empowering the next generation. So we're going to learn a little bit more about that message that God has given to her. So welcome to the podcast, Helen.
Thank you so much, Nadine, for inviting me. I'm so blessed to be here.
Awesome. So I'm excited to chat with you about your particular podcast called Empowering the Next Generation. But I also want people to know a little bit more about your background. You know, this is the first time we're connecting and meeting. And for those who are listening, I also want them to know who you are and what you do. So Helen Verroux, aka the Wise Educational Consultant, a speaker, a John Maxwell certified transformational leadership coach. Love John Maxwell. Anybody that I ever connect with that's been under John Maxwell certification is amazing. So I already know you're amazing. So she is the author of the Success Guide for Teens and the founder of The Wise Educational Leader, which is a global movement with faith-based educational leaders dedicated in seeking wisdom together, living a mark, and becoming global transformational leaders in education. Being in the field of education for more than 12 years, she strongly believes that now is the time to equip young people to navigate effectively in this new economy with programs that not only revolutionize the educational system, boy, is that needed, but that help school leaders to gain wisdom in building cutting-edge school communities focused on whole, and that's an acronym, WHOLE, wholeness, engagement, empowerment, collaboration, and diversity with her 10-week program. She's also the founder of From Educator to CEO Masterclass, a 45-minute free training that helps faith-based educators start building their online businesses with ease. And I love how you end that with ease, right? We can build stuff with difficulty, but if we're building with God, we're building with ease because He is with us. So I love that. And I love that it's from educator to CEO. I think there's so many amazing teachers. And to be honest, especially in the online space, I see some of the most successful coaches, successful consultants come from the education field, right? Because they just have that natural skill set of teaching and helping people. So when you translate those skills into the marketplace, most of the time it excels. They excel and they really do well in the marketplace as CEOs. So I love that you help educators to make that transition. So welcome to the podcast, Helen.
Thank you so much, Nadine. And thank you
All
for the
right.
introduction.
Yes, you are so welcome. So, out of my curiosity, because again, I've never had someone from Qatar. Am I saying it right? Qatar?
Yes.
Qatar, right? On the podcast. Tell us a little bit about Qatar. Like, what would you say are some of the things that make Qatar outstanding or different, or what you like most about living there? Give us a little insight to that part of the world.
Well, for me, actually growing up from the Western world is my
Okay.
first time in the Middle East. So it was really a culture shock for me because I'm a faith person. I love Jesus.
Mhm.
And obviously, here is a Muslim country. So it was really hard for me. It's very family orientated, which is a
Mhm.
plus in the Middle East.
Mhm.
It's very safe. So people,
Mhm.
like I have some of my friends who leave their car keys in the car and they
Mhm.
don't lock the cars, they don't lock their doors. So this is how safe Qatar is. And so I
Mhm.
love that about Qatar. And as well, I love the lifestyle. I think that Qatar gave me the opportunity to enjoy life as well as working, giving me sometimes as well to work on my business aside of my work. So it gives me a lot of perks. And I feel
Mhm.
that it's a great opportunity. Because of the stereotype I had about the Middle East, I don't think I would have come here. But life
Mm,
circumstances led
mhm,
me here, and I
mm.
one of the best decisions of my life.
Okay, awesome. So did you move for an opportunity? Something came up and it was there and you decided,
Um,
okay, I'm going to take a leap of faith, or what was that life circumstance?
I would say that I went through a divorce. So it was really hard for me. I was living before. So obviously start with my story because I was living before Qatar in the UK. So
Okay.
for 3 years, and then after
Hmm.
before the UK, I was living in the Bahamas for another six
Mm,
years. So I traveled a lot,
I can tell.
being an being an educator. So Qatar is my place of healing, of new adventure, and also experiencing the Middle East in a very unique way.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. What part of the UK did you used to live in?
I used to live so for 4 years. I used to live in London. And then
Okay.
after I went to live in the Bahamas and I moved back for another 3 years and I
Okay.
lived in Milton Keynes.
Okay, awesome. Because I'm from London originally too. I was born in London. I'm from North London, Edmonton,
Oh,
Enfield area. So that's when you said the UK. I was curious. I was like, I wonder if England. I wonder if she was.
nice.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So we have that in common.
Amazing.
Exactly.
Wow.
So awesome. So, as I mentioned, this season on the podcast, we're really focusing on women of faith in business who are using their voices. They're using their voices and their God given message to create a podcast platform to reach other people with their message. So, I've said on several episodes that a lot of times people have a vision, a dream, or a goal to start a podcast, but they don't necessarily do it. So, when I recognize that someone has taken the action and they're doing the thing, it's important to really get their story, get their backstory, because that may be an inspiration, a motivation for somebody else to take the leap and say, okay, let me stop sitting on the sidelines and get my podcast going. So give us the backstory of your podcast. What made you decide to go ahead, take that leap, do that thing, and start the Empowering the Next Generation podcast?
So I want to share a bit of my story and how it started really. So I am from the beautiful island of Martinique, which is in the French Caribbean.
Mm-hmm.
And I've God led me to be saved in the UK. That's when I
Mhm.
became an educator. So most of my life, I've been in the educational field for 15, more than 15 years. And
Mm,
now because I've worked globally, I worked in the Caribbean, now I'm in the Middle East, and I've worked
mhm,
in Europe. I feel like I had some knowledge about different uh, issues that education
mhm.
have
Yeah,
globally. So
yeah.
my journey really started to empower in leadership students, because I believe that
Mhm,
because I didn't have that when I was young, I wanted students to know, especially
mhm,
teenagers, to know that they are valued, that they matter, and that they
mhm,
are leaders. I never had someone who could tell me that. So it started with that background where I wanted to help teenagers, and then I helped parents of teens to really raise purpose-led teen leaders, because I felt that
mhm,
it was really important to allow parents to see that their kids have purpose. They
mhm,
have been here on earth for a reason, and that they had to know and help them to get to that realization. Because obviously, when they are teens, they won't be able to know their purpose straight away. But I wanted them to have
mhm,
a mindset and bring awareness in their mind that they are built in purpose for a purpose, and they have to
mhm,
build an intentional life. So
mhm.
that's how I started empowering the next generation, because I felt like I wanted to, and I love to speak, I'm a speaker. So I wanted to talk and share my message about how we can ignite education, ignite school communities with the right messages, and as well how we can develop leaders and create meaningful connections. Because I feel that sometimes it's something that is missing. People are part of a community, but are they really part of a mission based community? Do they have a school culture where people feel involved and heard? So that's the reason why I started the podcast, because I really wanted to empower
Mhm.
and help senior leaders and parents, and as well educators, that there is a safe space for them where they can actually learn how to ignite and make a difference in their school communities.
Yeah, empower and educate those teen leaders. And that's such a key age. That's the pivotal point almost where you're stepping into being the person, right? That God is directing you to be as an adult. So that teen age period is so important. And I love that you have diversity in the different forms of education. You've seen the education system in the UK, you've seen it in the Bahamas, you've seen it now in the Middle East. And I'm sure there's certain patterns no matter where you are in the
Mm.
world that you're seeing. So what would be some of like the patterns that you'll say, no matter where I am in the world, no matter what students I'm around, this tends to be something that I see as a good thing or a bad thing when it comes to teens?
I feel that, first of all, the school system is not really focusing on helping teenagers to self discover. It's always
Mm,
academic, always
mm,
academic,
mhm,
never about personal discovery. So, in
mm,
my school where I am right now, I created a program with teens who lack confidence, where
mhm,
it's called the Success and Leadership Club, where I really give them tools to understand, obviously, purpose and how to grow into public speaking, and really understand how they can grow into entrepreneurship and really live a
mhm.
purpose led life, which I
Yeah.
didn't have, and how to become critical thinkers and just share their message from their heart. Because sometimes teenagers are scared of speaking. We always focus on teenagers who already have it, who are very confident, who are bold. But how about those who are not? Where is a space for
Mhm,
them? You have a lot of students who cannot be selected as head boy or head girl, because obviously they lack popularity in the school. Where is a space for them where we can
mhm,
actually help them to grow and nurture them to become more confident? So this is what I feel that is missing, where there is a big gap between those that we focus on in school, where we have the special need, educational needs as space, but and the gifted and talented, but how about those in between that really need direction, and as well whose parents don't really know how to help them in their journey of purpose, in their journey of self-discovery. So I feel
Mm,
that this is something that is missing. And one of the what I love in some of the schools that I worked is that they focus on leadership development. Not all the schools
mm,
have that. So they always again focus on the student council, which
mhm.
is one part. But again, there is no gap between the student council and the rest of the school community. So I don't know how it
Yeah.
was for you, is that
Mhm.
you always know that, okay, this is a part of the student council, they're part of head boy and head girl. But now, where is inspiration? I feel like teenagers are more inspired when they receive a message from their own peers,
Mm,
rather than all the time
mm,
adult talking. So when you see a teen who is already doing so much and who is inspiring already to grow into their leadership, and they talk to you through assembly and say, "This is what I've done. This is how I will overcome this," then they can actually, when the key stage 3 students see them through the message that they are sharing, they are more inspired and they feel like it is attainable, it is possible. So
mhm.
this is one of the things that I feel that some schools have and some schools don't have. So leadership development is not something that is very prominent in school.
Yeah, I like that. So I'm hearing the pattern that you see no matter what country you're in when you're working there as a teacher is that the system is mainly academic, right? It's
Yes.
mainly focused on whatever studies that the student needs to study, but it's lacking in that self-development, that personal development, things
Mm,
like confidence, self-awareness, leadership. Some places may have done a good job at leadership, but not all of them. But really, that inner being more than just knowledge and education is what I
yes.
heard. So that yeah, that's definitely something that can make all of our school systems better throughout the world if we have focus on that inner being and really help that child to step into the leader that God has created them to be, no matter what shape of leader it may be. Like you said, they
Yes.
may not be that head child, but they're a leader. They're a leader in
Yes.
some way, shape, or form. So developing that and nurturing that is important. So I love
Mm.
that. So, what was your vision for the podcast? You decided that you wanted to empower, educate, really reach these individuals and their parents. What did you visualize when you started the podcast? What was your vision for the actual podcast?
I wanted to just inspire. I wanted
Mm,
to I my message was really to allow to bring purpose, the topics of purpose, leadership in schools and leadership in school,
mhm,
which we don't have. I feel like
mm,
everything has to be, and it's, I think it's changed because of where I was I actually lived in the Bahamas because Dr. Masmono is one of my mentor. So he really
mm,
helped me to understand the message of purpose. I feel that purpose is, you have different purpose in different seasons. You're growing
mm,
in
mhm.
and you adapting with your environment. However, I believe that everybody has a specific calling on their life, something
Yeah.
that is unique to their name. And I wanted that message to be heard, especially for educators as well and school leaders, because sometimes you can have people working in the school system, but they are not aligned with who they are. So I wanted them to see that there is an opportunity from different people who can come in on the podcast, that they have found their voice, they have found their message to the world. And I feel like everybody can do that, and that they are not just called to impact inside the school community, but they are called as well to impact beyond the school community. So the podcast is a different reach. I didn't see it like that before, but I feel like it grew with me. And I feel like even with podcast, the more you grow, the more the vision is still the same, the mission is still the same. However, there are different facets and message that you want to bring into the same vision. So empowering the next generation is the main title, the main mission. However, there is different ways to empower the next generation. And that's where I feel led, that God is leading me to interview people. I want them to be on the show, on the podcast, so I can actually make a difference. And I'm really keen into leadership development. I believe that we should bring in school coaching, which is something that is
Mm,
not done. Coaching is such a great tool. When you
mm,
coach a child to really start thinking about having a vision for their life. Most teens, they don't have a vision.
Yeah.
They don't have
Most adults, some adults
yes.
don't have vision.
Yes.
Yeah,
So
it's true.
this is a big thing. It's and if we don't break the cycle, it will always reproduce itself. I am not here to change the system. I know that the system is a system. However, I want to bring something, add value to the system with the things that I do. I believe that whatever I'm doing right now, it will leave a legacy later in life. It won't be erased because I'm leaving a mark in the educational field. So I just do it with the Lord, and He helps me in that journey to inspire, to develop leaders, and also to create meaningful connections in school communities.
Yeah, definitely. You might not be able to change the system, but you're bringing a light to the system, right?
Yes.
You're bringing inspiration to the system. Just listening to you, I think about, man, there's so many things we can do better, right? Like you said,
Mm,
coaching in the school. I'm like, wow, imagine if they had that. It really
yes.
starts to make you imagine different ways
Yes.
that you can truly impact students more than what traditionally we have known in
Definitely.
academia and in the school system. So I love that that's been a part of your vision. And I love that you shared the evolution, because that's an important point for our listeners, those listening to this episode, that, you may have an overarching message. Her overarching message is empowering the next generation, but there may be aspects of it that you feature on the podcast. Like if you do seasons or series, you have a series about one particular topic, or you have a season about one particular topic. So you can actually go deep on one thing, but have an overall vision and an overall mission for the podcast, but have different ways of showcasing it. So I love that you brought up that point, because it is so important, because our podcast does evolve. It's not going to
Yes.
stay the same. I'm going on 5 years this September as we record this 2025 will be 5 years for
Wow.
the Women Faith Plus Business podcast. And it's had different seasons, right? Season also has definitely had different seasons. With that said, I'd love to know, how long has the Empowering the Next Generation podcast been around?
So I started during COVID in 2020 for 6 months. And then because of the
Okay.
divorce, I stopped for another two. And then I restarted
Okay.
again last year,
Okay.
2024. Yeah.
Awesome. I love that. It's funny that you say 2020, because so many people on the podcast had mentioned this year, 2020. It was a pivotal year, as we all know, for the world, where so much
Yes.
changed for us. But so many things happened and were launched and were started in that year. Books,
Mm.
podcasts. People had time to really sit and think about, what
Yes.
is it I truly want to do? What is it that I really want to make a mark and a difference in the world with? And that's when they made the decision to launch these things and do these things. So it's always amazing to me when I hear people say, oh, it was 2020. I was like, I figured as much, because that was such a pivotal year. But like you said, you also have seasons where you pause. You go through things in life. Life be lifing is the
Mm.
terminology over here. Life be lifing.
Yes.
And you may have a season where you pause or you stop the podcast. But when God has put something on your heart, most of the time you have a desire, you have a want to pick it back up and say,
That's
okay,
it.
now I want to get back to it. So I love that you shared that part of your story. So if someone listened to your podcast, I always love to ask this question. If they listen to just one episode, or maybe they listen to several episodes, what would be, and I kind of feel like I know the answer you're going to share, but what would be the one word, one phrase, or one thought that you would want them to take away from the podcast? So even if they only listen to one episode, you desire them to take this away, or maybe they listen to several. You just want to make sure that they know this main thing by listening to your podcast. What is that one word, that phrase, or even a thought that you would want them to take away from the podcast?
So for me, I believe that the podcast is more focused on multidimensional leadership.
Mm,
Everybody has different facets in their life, and
mm,
I want parents, I want educators, I want teachers to know that there is more than the career. There is more to offer in the school, especially we have so many issues in the educational system, and that they are the solution for the
mm,
educational system. Is not about, I would say, how many people are listening to you, because especially with God, I feel like what is important is the impact that you make. And I really emphasize on making a difference. I really emphasize on igniting people around you and making sure that you have to build the leaders around you so they can themselves build other leaders in the future. So, and also I really believe in when you talk about the podcast about healing, I talk a lot about wholeness, where people are able, if you want to create meaningful connection, you need to be whole, and which is something that is not really emphasized on in schools.
Yeah, so good. So multidimensional leadership, right? And then also wholeness and healing are some of the key messages and key things that you desire for individuals to take away from the Empowering the Next Generation podcast. Now, what is the best way for people to listen to the podcast? What's the best platforms for them to actually hear the podcast?
So we have two platforms. We have Spotify and we have as well YouTube.
Okay, awesome. So definitely check out Empowering the Next Generation podcast on Spotify and on YouTube. Now, what's the best way for people to connect with you for the work that you do in the world and how you help? So if you want to explain a little bit about your services, how you help, what you do, and then also how people can connect with you.
So they can connect with me on my Instagram at The Case for Success, where I have my link tree, and they have my link tree has all the things that I'm doing. They have as well, there is a podcast, a Spotify, there is a YouTube channel as well, and I focus on two parts: the faith-based educators who wants to grow from educators to CEO. And I help them really to get some coaching, because sometimes they want to exceed the classroom, but I feel like they can do both and really build their retirements. Because most teachers, if they are educators, is because they have a passion to make a difference. And now it's not just to impact inside, but why not trying to grow globally as you're doing with your podcast? So there is so many things that they can discover about themselves. And I also help school leaders who want to develop bespoke leadership programs to with my WISE framework. So they can actually connect with me. I have a 10-week programs where I help them to build a cutting-edge school community that focus on collaboration, engagement, holisticness, and diversity.
Awesome. So definitely connect with Helen on Instagram and see all the amazing things that she's doing in the world and how she can help you. So thank you so much, Helen. This has been a great conversation and a joy to have you on the podcast. Thank you for being on the Women, Faith Plus Business podcast. Did you know that 90% of business owners do not have a written marketing plan? As women of faith in business, scripture instructs us to write the vision and make it plain. So I'm giving you an invitation to write your marketing plan and make it plain by discovering 2 powerful ways to successfully plan your marketing so you can attract your ideal clients and prosper in your God-given purpose. Go to nadinemullings.com/power. That's nadinemullings.com/power to get started on your marketing plan so you can start attracting your ideal clients in the marketplace. Thank you for listening to the Women, Faith Plus Business podcast. I hope this episode has been insightful and inspiring and has offered you an opportunity to take action to transform your life and your business. Wherever you are listening, be sure to rate and review the podcast, and also subscribe to get the next episode right in your inbox by going to womenfaithandbusiness.com to join our email list.